Hi everybody, I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton is with us. Welcome to the garage, and thank you for tuning into the Court of Public Opinion, wherever you happen to be. We've got something very important to show you in a little while. It's something that I think is profoundly dangerous, something that you'll want to see. And I'm not going to let it go. I'm going to keep on talking about it because it's just symptomatic of what's going on in the world today, here in Australia, all this woke political correctness and crap that's going on. I've got a trivial question for you first up. Who was the makeup artist on the first Superman movie? You know, the Christopher Reeve movie. Pete, do you know?
Haven't got a clue.
Believe it or not, the makeup artist on the first Superman movie was Lois Lane. Don't you love that? I do. And it's true. You can check it. But, you know, it's a good trivia question. Now, look, can you clear up something for me? In the UK, I'm told, in heavily Muslim populated areas, no dogs are allowed. And I said, what? That's not possible. But my caller said, I'm sorry, Jeremy, it's part of Sharia law. And she said it's happening here in Australia. And you can see it in southwestern Sydney, particularly dogs are not allowed. Have you heard of this? You know, when people can contact you and message you with things and you don't really know whether it's real or true or not. But, you know, come Friday, if you've got some personal experience of that, I would really like to know. On Friday, live streaming from the dining room table, jeremycordeaux.com, 9 o'clock till 12. Call me on 0491 65 68 60. And tell me if you know anything about that. Dogs? What would Muslims... Pete, have you ever heard of anything like that?
Well, I haven't, but nothing would surprise me as far as...
Muslims don't like dogs? Why? I mean, what's that got to do with anything? Anyway, if you've got some info on that, please tell me. Here's something interesting. I saw this and I thought I'd repeat it for you. Our world is not divided by race, colour, gender, or religion. Our world is divided into wise people and fools. And the fools divide themselves by race, colour, gender, and religion. I rather like that. I cannot attribute it to anyone. I don't know who said it. But gee whiz, I think that's quite profound. Well done to all our Para-Olympians. Fantastic effort. 18 gold, 17 silver, 28 bronze. You all get the yay for the day. Pete, have you got a yay for the day that you can throw in there? No.
No, I haven't.
Well, just yay for the day. Congratulations to the South Australian Premier, Peter Malinauskas, for putting forward a ban on kids using social media. Kids under 14. He wants it to be national. Good thinking. This is all about duty of care. A statutory duty of care. Yet when you look at this, which I'm about to show you, when you look at this, it's a book called Welcome to Sex. It's a book written by Yumi Steins, a graphic sex ed book for kids as young as 8. 8! It teaches porn, sexting, and other, what I would call generally unsafe sex acts and practices. In my opinion, it is totally inappropriate Outrageous. And this book, listen, this book has been shortlisted to win the Prime Minister's Literary Award for the year. A total disgrace. Now, I'm working to find out if this publication had any government money in it. We know it certainly has government support. Where is the media on this? Have you heard anything about this? Now, I haven't got a copy of the book with me, but we will, by Friday, have one to talk about around the dining room table, because we have Kevin Donnelly, who's one of the great educators, he well known to people in South Australia. He I'm dying to hear what he would say about this. But where is the media?
Where is the opposition on this?
I don't know. They probably don't know about it. Do all these guys, people approve? Kids as young as 8 are the target market for this book. It's been shortlisted for the Prime Minister's Literary Awards, a sex manual for 8-year-olds. Scissoring. Well, let me tell you. Scissoring, which is what I believe lesbians do a lot of, masturbation, anal sex. We're talking 8-year-olds. It's all here. Intimate things that I don't think I saw or even understood or even heard about until I was probably 30 years old. This is for 8-year-olds. Look, if you think I'm crazy, Pete, you've got the grab, haven't you?
Yes, we'll put that in, yeah.
We will put that in here.
Yeah.
We'll show you this stuff. They're obviously proud of what they've produced in this book, but it's what our government thinks that is the problem. You see, they think it's social media that is a big problem. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a hell of a lot worse. And keep in mind, it's pitched at 8-year-olds. Have a look.
Welcome to Sex, a book sold at Big W and marketed towards your children. And it says so on the very first page, whether you're an apprehensive 11-year-old. Size matters, talking about penis size. Scissoring, complete with illustrations. The lowdown on anal sex. Fingering. How do you finger someone? Again, complete with illustrations. Hand jobs. Oral sex. Oral sex on a penis. The virginity myth, and as it says there, I think virginity is such an outdated concept, downplaying virginity. Porn. And of course, sexual and gender identities. They couldn't leave that one out. I'm 13 and I'm confused about my sexuality. How can anyone think they're not coming after the children after seeing books like this for sale openly in Big W? Welcome to Sex, sold at Big W and marketed towards your children.
Well, there you go. Talk to me on Friday about that. Pete, it's only a minute long. We might run it again at the end of the show.
Okay.
After a 3-year royal commission into suicide among our armed services personnel and veterans, I don't know what a royal commission costs, somewhere between 500 million and $1 billion. 3-year royal commission, yeah. What do we have? Now, we are recording a bit ahead of its absolute release, but from what I hear, we have platitudes and we have a list of recommendations a mile long, most of which are just plain common sense and should have been implemented years ago. Do we need a royal commission to tell us the bleeding obvious? War is hell. Discipline is hard to take. Authority is tricky. People barking orders in your face. Training, survival, fitness. No, I can't take this. Look, I understand that. I would fail the first day, I'm sure. But I would say, don't be there. To be a member of the armed services takes men and women, very special people. Not necessarily tough, not brutal. I don't know what the word is. Patriotic, maybe. The truth is that we find it hard to get patriotic people who are prepared to die for their country. We can't crew a submarine. It was spending $360 billion on making 6 new atomic submarines. We can't crew one single submarine at the moment. We barely have 1 brigade of soldiers. And you know where the rot starts? Or, depending on your side of the argument, where the wisdom starts? In the schools. In the schools. Where would we be? The Boer War, you know, Breaker Morant, and the First World War, Second World War, the Korean War. We had something going for this country. And yes, of course, there was shell shock, and now there's PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And I've never been in battle, so I'm impertinent to even talk about it. But I understand and I'm sympathetic. But God, every country has to be able to defend itself. The Aboriginals lost their country because they couldn't control their borders and repel the, as they would see it, invaders. They, of course, saw themselves as settlers, not invaders. But it amounts to the same thing. If you cannot defend your country, you will lose it. I, for one, am not prepared to lose this country. Talk to me about that on Friday. I hope to have John, I haven't rung him yet, but John Bruni, who's a regular guest on the program, there's a lot to talk to him about too. Bob Day will be on, Senator Bob Day, and of course Professor Plimer. The federal government has given, I think it's $4.7 billion in an effort to support a frontline war on domestic violence. Really? What are you going to spend that money on? $4.7 billion. Domestic violence. I'd love to know. What? Social workers? Lawyers? Police? You know, and the government knows, but they won't say it, most domestic violence victims are Aboriginal. And that's a cultural thing. It's a culture that $4.7 billion is not allowed to touch or criticize. God, help us. Get rid of the woke, the political correctness and the racism, and fix the problems for humanity's sake. And it won't cost $4.7 billion. It's all about spend. Throw money, because it's not our money, it just looks good. We'll put out a media release, we're fighting domestic violence. $4.7 million is a lot of money. God, it is. Oh, speaking of politics, that AI TV appearance of Prime Minister Albanese and Peter Dutton. I'm sure you've seen it, made up. It's a fake, deep fake or whatever, but looks and sounds right. Okay, Senator David Pocock pulled a stunt. But he makes a good point. It's the same point that I made here in the garage last week when I said seeing is no longer believing. You remember I was telling you about Dick Smith's pitch that I got on my telephone, looking for investors. Now you will make $1,000 a day. And then some days later there was another one from Gina Reinhardt. It was Dick Smith and it was Gina Reinhardt. But no, it wasn't. Seeing is no longer believing. We can't trust our senses. It's that simple. So what could you do? I mean, when you think about it, what could you do? You could have a deep fake presentation of the Prime Minister declaring war, the President of the United States invading Russia. You could do anything. So all I'm saying is we can no longer trust what we see, what we hear, what we're told. I don't know where that leaves us, but it ain't a simple world anymore. All those crazy people in Canberra who want to spend money on... Have you heard this? Pete, have you heard they want to remove the Queen? This is on the anniversary of her death. They want to spend a lot of money too, removing the Queen, Queen Elizabeth, from documents and bills and orders and legislation where her name appears, to be replaced with the word the sovereign. The sovereign. You see, the Queen is feminine. The Queen was female. We can't have that. We can't have feminine. We can, maybe if it was queer, oh, that could be up in a flash. That would be fine. How long are we going to put up with this absolute rubbish? I watched that Channel 7 show. I don't watch it every week. The show on Sunday night called Spotlight. It was about James Packer. It caught my eye because I'd met James Packer a couple of times. I don't know if you saw it, but it was good to see that regardless of how rich and powerful and influential you are still fragile, frail, fearful. We're all human. What he did on prime time television, don't know why he did it, but what he did was humbling, self-effacing. It was also something else. It was a measure of the man. His father, Kerry Packer, would have been proud of him, I think. It wasn't that I could do anything to help or support him. I wanted to reach out to him and say, look, if there's anything I could do to help, all you got to do is to call me. I couldn't find any means of contacting him. I gather he's on a yacht somewhere. And what could I do anyway? But at least I wanted to. John Brogden, who was the Premier of New South Wales, not sure what year, he's got a book out this week on the subject of depression. It's not only men, it's women, it's children. Depression is not a good thing. I've never suffered from it, and I thank God I haven't. It's his story of his own personal struggles. I want to get him on the live streaming show on Friday if I can. I'll let you know. Bill Shorten heads for a cushy job in academia. $1.2 million a year. And he leaves behind the disastrous NDIS, with the assurance that it will only grow by 8% a year. Idiots. How can the disability sector grow by 8% a year in and year out? It's not possible. I tell you what will grow, the bureaucracy. They already employ 400,000 people. Do you believe that? Can you get your mind around that? 400,000 people. If for nothing else, I'd kick that government out of office on the strength of the NDIS. It is a demonstration of complete incompetence. And if you put that together with their energy policy, Aboriginal affairs, education, refugees and immigration, border protection, and of course the big kahuna, which is the economy. But unbelievably, according to the insiders on the ABC, well, I mean, it is the ABC, isn't it? But according to the insiders, Liberal and Labor are neck and neck, 50-50. Are we that stupid? I don't know. I have no idea. But we'll find out sort of March of next year, I suspect. Just before I give you the dates, just quickly, this beautiful Jimmy Elder, one of our sponsors, Jim Elder Fine Art, important Australian paintings auction, was up on this last Sunday. Just wonderful paintings. And this is why I sit here and as a promoter of Jim Elder, I remind you that he is always looking for important Australian and overseas art and artists. And if you want an appraisal, absolutely free, no obligation, he will come and look at a painting and tell you honestly what it's worth. And if you want to sell it, he will get you the best price possible. And he, of course, sells paintings all over the world. Let me give you a phone number here. 8267 2869. Okay? 8267 2869. They're there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I think it's from 10 o'clock until 5. Beautiful, beautiful gallery, art gallery. There were a couple of wonderful paintings there. Oh, look. Just beautiful. But if you give him a call and you want to, well, maybe you're buying paintings or maybe you're selling them, I don't know. But one way or the other, he's the guy to see if you're interested in talking about art. Jim Elder, Fine Art Gallery, North Adelaide, Melbourne Street, North Adelaide. Okay, it's September 10. Ooh. 1992, on this day, Lucy in Peanuts comics, raises her psychiatric help charge from 5 cents to 47 cents. That was 1992. That's inflation, folks. Sure is. Rin Tin Tin, the German Shepherd dog, who was a Hollywood star, was born in France, died in 1932, born 1918, on this very day. Rin Tin Tin. Elijah Howe takes out a US patent for a lock-stitch sewing machine. That was in 1846 on this day. Buckingham Palace is hit by German bombs in London on this day in 1940. And the King and the Queen said quite famously, we can now look the East End in the eye, because they'd had a hell of a battering. And Buckingham Palace had up until 1940 escaped the bombing. 1942, British RAF drops 100,000 bombs on Dusseldorf in Germany. British troops also land on the very same day in Madagascar. 1942. Switzerland, traditionally a neutral country, joins the United Nations on this day in 2002. London taxi driver George Smith is the first man to be fined for drunk driving. 1894. Mike the Headless Chicken is decapitated in Colorado. He survives for another 18 months before choking to death. 1945 was the year. I have no idea how that got into my dates. Mike the Headless Chicken. God. Neil Diamond has his first Billboard chart success with the single Cherry Cherry, this day 1966. Redmond O'Brien, well, his name was Edmund O'Brien. Well, everyone called him Edmund. The American actor, the man who shot Liberty Valance, Sam Benedictine, Johnny Midnight. Born in New York City, he died in 1985. You'd know him if you saw his face. He made a lot of movies. Edmund O'Brien. 1915. Jane Wyman, American Academy Award-winning actress. Johnny Belinda, Magnificent Obsession, first wife of Ronald Reagan, dies of natural causes at the age of 90 on this day in 2007. The Large Hadron Collider, the Large Hadron Collider at CERN, described as the biggest scientific experiment in the history of mankind, is powered up in Geneva, Switzerland, on this day in 2008. Could we have an update on exactly what that great scientific breakthrough has achieved? Costs trillions. What has it done? God. The biggest scientific experiment in the history of mankind. Wow. The 1,000th Boeing 747 plane is produced on this day in 1993. They're still running around. They're mostly cargo planes. Henri of Champagne, the French Crusader. The Count of Champagne, King of Jerusalem, falls out a window to his death at the age of 31. Strange. 1197 on this day. I wonder if champagne had anything to do with it. 1960, Colin Firth, English actor, Bridget Jones' Diary, Pride, Prejudice, King's Speech, born this day, 1960. American Ferrari driver Phil Hill wins the Italian Grand Prix at Monza to clinch the F1 Drivers' Championship. 1961 on this day. Oh, here's one. I'll leave you with this. Harold Giles, New Zealand father of modern plastic surgery who pioneered skin graft techniques on injured soldiers in World War I, dies at the age of 78 of a cerebral hemorrhage. It was 1960. What a wonderful man. So before 1960, oh no, that's when he died, but he would have pioneered back in the First World War, yeah. Plastic surgery. Thank you very much for viewing the Court of Public Opinion, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for viewing. Pete and I will be back. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Believe in yourself. And goodbye for now.
Welcome to Sex, a book sold at Big W and marketed towards your children. And it says so on the very first page. Whether you're an apprehensive 11-year-old, size matters, talking about penis size. Scissoring, complete with illustrations. The lowdown on anal sex. Fingering. How do you finger someone? Again, complete with illustrations. Hand jobs, oral sex on a penis. The virginity myth, and as it says there, I think virginity is such an outdated concept, downplaying virginity. Porn, and of course sexual and gender identities. They couldn't leave that one out. I'm 13 and I'm confused about my sexuality. How can anyone think they're not coming after the children after seeing books like this for sale openly in Big W? Welcome to Sex, sold at Big W and marketed towards your children.